All right, Lauren, I believe it's 6:30 and I believe we're live now.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, and before we get started, I would like to remind everyone, if you're not speaking, if you will, mute, make sure that you are muted, and it will actually help with audio, sometimes the video as well. And you will have to pay attention and make sure that you unmute yourself when you're getting ready to speak, but it will make the meeting a little smoother for us. And also, if you would, please, when you want to be recognized, please just speak, Mr. Chairman, and if possible, mention who you are as far as Commissioner Wilcher, and I would like to motion for, et cetera, like that, and it will help the meeting hopefully go a little bit smoother. And make sure that you are recognized before you speak. And I'm going to stop my video because it actually helps me to look at the screen and for your lights to key up when you're speaking. All right, at this time, if you would please, everyone, let's bow our heads and I'll lead us in a short prayer as we prepare to start our meeting. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time that you've given us to join together, Lord, here through our internet and our computers, Lord, and take care of the county's business. Lord, we ask for your wisdom in the decisions that we make, in the votes that we cast. Lord, we ask that you be with each family that we represent, Lord, and that you would watch over us, Lord, and be with us through this meeting and throughout the week that is to come after this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
At this time, hopefully you've got a flag somewhere nearby. I've got one on my phone to look at. I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. At this time, Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Michael
Here.
Carl D. Bolden,
Here.
Carl E. Bolden,
Here.
Harleen Brown,
Here.
David Dunlap,
Here.
Randy England,
Here.
Deborah Evans,
Here.
Steve Glenn,
Here.
Stephen Helton,
Here.
Robert Hennessy,
Hennessy here.
Ron Lee,
Here.
Gary Martin,
Here.
Daniel
Here.
Casey Owens,
Here.
Gary Prater,
Here.
Ross,
Here.
Scott Ruble,
Here.
Tommy Savage,
Here.
Tyrone Sparkman,
Hey, this is Carl E. and Tyrone Sparkman just called and said he had lost connection and he's trying to get back on, but he has now lost connection, but he's here.
okay. Joseph Stotts,
Here.
Stout,
Here.
Holder,
Here.
Blaine Wilcher,
Here.
23 present.
All right. While we're getting ready for Tyrone to join us, I will at this time entertain a motion to adopt our docket.
So move. Gary Prater.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Prater to adopt.
Second, Robert Hennessy.
We have a second from Commissioner Robert Hennessy. And we're going to do a voice vote on this first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, the reading of the minutes.
Make a motion to dispense the reading of the minutes, Carl E.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Carl E. Bolden.
Second, Commissioner Helton.
We have a second from Commissioner Stephen Helton. Would anybody like to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Next, we have public comment. And I don't have anything at this time on that. There may be something under announcements later. And that will take us into the next item, which is special recognition, and I will call on Executive Haley for that.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, we always like to give special recognition to some of our employees for exceptional service to the county, and particularly during these exceptional times when keeping it clean during this COVID pandemic has been crucial to our success in mitigating this virus in county buildings. So at this time, I would like to recognize Bruce Boyd, who is the custodian here at the admin building. And so he's not here with us tonight, but he knows that he's receiving this award. He didn't really want to accept it, but I think everyone in this building is pleased with his performance, and he has gone exceptional beyond the call of duty to keep our building clean. So I do recognize Bruce Boyd for all of his hard work in keeping our building safe for our employees. The other special recognition, it didn't get put on the agenda, but I wanted to recognize also the Warren County High School football team. We were going to have them in attendance for tonight, but of course we weren't able to do that. But I would like to recognize their season, 8-0. And so it's been a while since we've received that kind of recognition, and even during a pandemic, and when oftentimes practice and play was limited, our football boys and Matt Turner, their coach, and all their assistant coaches and staff stepped up and showed what Warren County was made of, even in times of extreme challenges. So I would also like to recognize the Warren County High School football team for an outstanding 2020 season. And then we come to some proclamations. And so over the last month since our last meeting, we've lost two individuals who really have made the difference in many people's lives. And both of them were basically called to service to Warren County in a variety of capacities as volunteers. So the first proclamation I would like to make tonight is honoring William Lewis Battles. It says, whereas Morrison resident William Lewis Battles was one of those unsung heroes who has left a lasting legacy through his service as a constable, a member of the Warren County Fair Board, and as a volunteer with the Civil Defense. Whereas Constable Lewis Battles was taken from this life suddenly and now leaves his wife Carolyn and children Curtis, Veronica, Mark, and Travis to mourn his loss. And whereas Lewis, also known as Turkey, was a role model to so many and beloved by his family, friends, church, and community as a true servant of God. Whereas Warren County has been blessed with many community volunteers who have touched the lives of many through their years of selfless service to our county. Whereas those who made career commitments to providing safety and security for our local residents should also be respected, recognized, and honored. Whereas those distinguished public servants who have devoted their life to protecting our residents are significant to the success of any community. Where it's only fitting that a grateful citizenry recognizes the merits of those who have displayed extraordinary acts of valor while serving their community. Therefore, I, Warren County Executive Jimmy Haley, and our commission do hereby recognize the life and contributions of William Lewis Battles and join together as a grateful community to celebrate the achievements of this true gentleman, public officer, and dutiful friend. The other proclamation is honoring Bessie Mae Bolden Smithson. Whereas our commission is the governing body for local government operations across Warren County, and whereas its membership consists of 24 commissioners, 2 elected officials from each one of the 12 political districts, and whereas the 9th District has been ably served by many commissioners committed to public service who have made improvements across our community, whereas Jack Smithson served in that capacity from 1990 until his death in 1999, when his wife was chosen to fulfill the remainder of his term, and whereas Bessie Mae Bolden Smithson was successfully elected to serve the 9th District of Warren County Commission until her retirement in 2014. And whereas Miss Bessie served on several important county committees and was known for her serious methodology as well as her humor in conducting official businesses for the county. And whereas Commissioner Smithson was also recognized as a community volunteer in Viola and was a faithful member of Pleasant Knoll Church of Christ, who dedicated her life to helping others while being a role model to all her nieces and nephews. Whereas upon the passing of former Commissioner Miss Bessie, our entire community mourns this family's loss and wishes to honor her service as a respected elected official for Warren County. Therefore, I, Executive Jimmy Haley, and members of the Warren County Commission and a grateful community desire to commemorate the 15 years of public service of Miss Bessie Bolden Smithson and recognize her many acts of kindness while we celebrate her life of achievement and all the accomplishments as part of her legacy to the place that she called home.
Thank you, Executive Haley. And before we go to the next item, we need to vote on having this meeting electronically, which is necessary for the protection of public health, safety, and welfare of our citizens, and it's required by the governor's executive order. So I would entertain a motion to conduct this meeting electronically.
Commissioner Helton so moves.
We have a motion from Commissioner Helton.
Commissioner England seconds it.
We have a second from Commissioner England. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next item is the county executive report.
I sent that out with as many updates as I possibly could. So if you've got any questions about anything in the report, you can call Lauren in my office or email me, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to accept the county executive's report.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion from Commissioner Brown. We have a second from, I believe that was that Commissioner Bell?
No,
Second.
Commissioner Prater, I made the motion to accept, so
Okay.
whatever.
Commissioner Prater made the motion, and I will take Carlene, Commissioner Brown for the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is our finance director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have my report. If you have any questions, I'll take them at this time and do my best to answer them for you.
Commissioner Rubley move to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley to accept. the
Second
report.
from Carl E.
We have a second from Commissioner Carl E. Bolden. Would anybody like to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the Warren County Highway Department.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, is that Commissioner
Ross?
Ross?
I'm not sure if it was just my packet or it's not pulling up, but I didn't seem to have a report from the Highway Department.
Yes, there was no report in there, and I don't see.
We have nothing to report at this time. This is Commissioner Prater.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Prater. All right, next item is the Sanitation Department. And I do know that you have the report from Josh in your packet, and I would entertain a motion to accept that report.
Commissioner
I'll make a
Stout,
motion. Thank
second.
Glenn, second.
All right, hold on a second. There was a couple of people that went about the same time.
Steve Glenn made the motion.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Glenn made the motion.
Commissioner Stout, second.
Thank you. Commissioner Stout seconded. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, next item is the Warren County Schools quarterly report. Mr. Swallows.
Thank you, Commissioner Wiltshire. You should have a report in your packet that just details where we are currently and an update on the school status. Of course, since I wrote that report, we have seen an uptick in COVID cases in our community and even in our school system. Many of you, I'm sure, have read the news report that we did have to take the high school and the middle school to all remote learning for the next week until the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm glad to report that's going very well in tough circumstances, but our teachers and our students are doing a really great job of adapting to things that they've never had to do before. So appreciate all that they're doing. There's also an update in there about our building projects. We're just very, very close to closing out the barn project at the high school. And we had a couple of hiccups with the West project, but we are still proceeding and everything's coming along nicely. So everything else should be in your packet, and happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley, question for Mr. Swallows.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Rubley.
Mr. Swallows, I know we talked earlier concerning the BEP, but if you don't mind, would you just give the commission an update on where the governor stands with this, please?
Sure. Great question. Thank you. BEP, of course, there's an article that came out this week detailing school systems in the state of Tennessee, right around about 33,000 less students statewide. And so obviously as a school system, that's concerning because we are funded based on the BEP formula and our average daily membership. So Warren County's down about 100 or so students than where we were last year. But we are very encouraged that the governor has come out to lead the charge, asking for a hold harmless year, which basically would mean that the state would fund us next year based on our enrollment from last year. Obviously, with the issues that we've been having with enrollment and again, not only in Warren County, but in this region and state, we appreciate the governor and his leadership. We will call on our state legislators in the coming months when they come into session, and hopefully they will take that up and fund us with a hold harmless bill this year.
Thank you, Mr. Swallows. I just wanted the commission to hear that because I feel like that's going to be very important in the future. And with that, I move to adopt.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rubley.
Carl.
I believe that was Carl D. Bowden with the second.
Carl E.
Carl E.
Carl E.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Would anybody like to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Next item is the Warren County Sheriff's Department third quarter report. Is there anyone here?
Move to adopt.
All right,
Ron Lee.
we have a motion from Commissioner Ron Lee.
Second, Robert Hennessy.
We have a second from Commissioner Robert Hennessy. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Yes, Commissioner Prater speaking.
Yes, go ahead,
Is
Commissioner Prater.
anyone from Sheriff's Department online?
No, sir.
There's no one from Sheriff's Department on the line. Yet we have our Director of Schools online, but no one from Sheriff's Department.
Didn't have anybody from the highway department either.
I represented them. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor of the report, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up is committee reports, and the first one is budget and finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we have nothing to report.
Thank you. Next committee is building and grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, Building and Grounds has nothing to report. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner England. I'd like to ask Carl a question, please.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner England.
Hey, Carl, hope you can hear me fine, sir.
Yes, sir.
I was just curious. I noticed that we started the work on the drive-through window for Darlene's office, which is a great thing. I'm glad we're doing it. But I want some clarification. I thought the trees were supposed to be left and trimmed and not cut down. I came by there yesterday and seen the trees down, was wondering what was going on, and I would just like to have an explanation of that.
Thank you for the question. That's a good question because I drove by there this morning. I heard yesterday that they were down, and I drove by over there this morning. You are exactly right. They're down, and some men was there cleaning up all the brush and all that stuff. But I absolutely knew nothing about it because I was in the same shoes you were because I thought we was going to trim those trees, but that apparently didn't happen. That's all I know about it. I didn't know anything about it.
I'd like to know how that came about because if I may be not have my memory right, but I believe
Mr. England, this is County Executive Haley. Mr. Glenn's engineer came out and surveyed the site. There was no way for us to be able to keep those trees, put the drive-through the way it was. That one tree would have had to have been trimmed up so high, that oak tree, that it wouldn't have lived, and the roots would have been affected as well with the paving. And so it was recommended by him that we go ahead and remove those. We got 3 quotes on those, and the only way to move forward with that and meet our deadlines, if we were going to try to get some of the COVID money on that, the CARES Act money, was to go ahead and remove those trees so that Bank Pack could go ahead and get started on those on that tube system. But there was no way to work around those trees with the way the engineer laid out the design to be used there.
Executive Haley, do you know what the final bid was on that?
It was $2,250. For that was cutting 4 trees. One was dead out in the parking lot as well. We went ahead and had that one cut. And that was all the removal of the brush and the grinding of the stumps.
All right.
What company did that job?
Commissioner Bolden, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just asked what company did that project, did that job.
The Alameda Brothers.
Okay, all right.
They had done work before here and removed some other trees that fell on a car.
All right. Anything else for building and grounds? Next is economic and agricultural development.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Carl D. Bolden. I am the chairperson of the Economic and Agriculture Development Committee this year. And we had a meeting November the 10th in the early voting room. We had 4 members present. The currently elected Brad Hillis will be joining us once he is sworn in, I think in November, on that committee as well. We elected as vice chairman Gary Martin and secretary Michael Bell. We also discussed the proposal by Commissioner Helton to add tourism to the mission statement of the Economic and Agriculture Committee. After positive discussion, it passed 4-0 to amend the mission statement to include tourism and ask approval of the full commission tonight, as this is included in the legislative packet that we will be voting on tonight. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bolden.
Thank you, Commissioner Bolden.
Next item, education.
At this time, we have nothing to add to Mr. Swallow's report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Next committee is financial management.
Financial management has nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Next committee is health and welfare, and unfortunately, due to me having COVID, we have not met this month. So we plan to meet next month, and we will then appoint our vice chairman and our secretary. Next item, highway and bridge committee.
We have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Next up, legislative committee.
Commissioner Brown, and we will be discussing the packet under unfinished business tonight.
Thank you. Policy and Personnel Committee.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have really nothing to report, that the judicial commissioners will be going back to the COVID precautions like they were. And that's all I've had. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Safety Committee.
Yes, sir. After a year-long wait, we've got our brand new ambulance delivered today. It looks great, and it'll be another week or two before we put that in service for the citizens of Warren County. And other than that, we have nothing to report.
Thank you. That's good news. Next is County Corrections Partnership. You're muted, Commissioner Stotts.
Chairman Wiltshire, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, just a few things. We met and we elected vice chair and secretary. We also reviewed our County Corrections Partnership Committee description. It's included in the legislative rules document that we'll be voting on tonight. We discussed the jail counseling position that's yet to be filled. There was a motion made that the County Corrections Partnership go dormant. However, in lieu of me getting with the sheriff on whether he felt that they continued to be needed. And so I've yet to make contact with him. I'll be doing that hopefully this week and can report back on that to see where we're headed with after I get a response from him. I'd also like to add that I have spoken with Mr. Bass since our last meeting. Mr. Bass had a lot of knowledge and updates to give me on the committee, and he praised Commissioner Helton's work with the committee in the past and the many things that's been accomplished at the jail by the sheriff. He also did added of note that the County Corrections Partnership Committee was in no way tied to its existence being bound by the jail seeking certification. So that being said, this is a committee that can still exist if need be, and we're working on numerous other things other than just being a reactive committee. However, again, the motion was made passing the committee pending Sheriff Myers' response to me when I contacted him. So I am going to follow up on that. I would also like to add that, and most of you all have probably received this, but there is a adult recovery graduation ceremony on Friday, November the 20th at 6 p.m. that will take place at the McMinnville Park Theater. And we'd like to commend everybody that's continues to make the adult recovery court a success in the county. And that's all I've got at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Stotts. Next item is redistricting committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Commissioner England here. We've just ended the census and we'll be gathering information. Probably January, February, we'll start meeting next year, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. With that being said, we go into our unfinished business, and the first item is item letter A, appoint chair of procedures and rule committee.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner England.
Yes, Commissioner England.
I'd like to nominate Blaine Welcher as the chairman of this.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner England to nominate myself as chairman of that committee.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. This is for standing committee chairs, correct?
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Ross. I did talk to Charles Curtis about that question. I was actually going to get into it when we got into the legislative part, but when I did upon, I believe it was Commissioner Lee's request, change that to just standing committees. That was wrong. I was right originally. We do appoint, as Charles Curtis said, standing and other committees as well. So I will basically ignore my change to that from last month and leave it as it was originally when it was wrote as appointing chairman of committee. Because we do have to appoint chairman of committees that are standing and also committees that are not always standing committees.
Okay, just for clarity, I think what I was actually meaning was on that committee, it can only be standing committee chairmans.
Yes, you are right. If that is what you meant, yes, and that
is what I meant. So then that would mean that only standing committee chairman can make motions or anything. That's my point.
No,
is that wrong? Okay.
Yeah, that is not. You're right, but you're wrong on the second part. Any chairman that will be on that committee can nominate.
Okay, is the redistricting a standing committee?
It is a committee.
Yes.
And
a standing committee.
It has been, I've been a commissioner going on 11 years, and it has always been a committee. There has always been a report from that committee. It's never been taken off the list since I've been a commissioner.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Prater. Does that committee get paid when they meet?
Yes, sir.
Then they're a standing committee.
Well, I'm not going to speak to that, but we do have a motion. Is there a second, or is there another nomination?
I'll second it. Gary Prater, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second from Commissioner Prater. Is there any other nominations for Chairman of Procedures and Rules?
Commissioner Stotts, I motion that nomination cease.
We have a motion that nomination cease.
I second it. Carl E.
We have a second from Commissioner Carl E. Bowden. All right, let's vote on the motion to cease nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we're back on the original motion, which is the nomination of Blaine Wiltshire to be Chairman of Procedures and Rules Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, motion carries. Next item is item B, and if I could, I'd like to speak on this just for a second before we start on this, because I know last month we basically motioned and amended ourselves into where we're at now with unfinished business. And what I was speaking about originally after the motion was made to accept the list as whole was I felt like that we were going to want to discuss and actually possibly change some of the items, which is what happened. So at this time, I would like everybody, if you have your packet in front of you, I would like to review together the information that's been sent to all of us as far as the questions that were addressed in the legislative committee meeting that was held during this time. Item number 1 was passed in full court to remove and/or county executive and leave only the chairman of the commission for that. Item number 2, which was to request to omit recommendations from the floor. This was changed to allow the chairperson to present a full committee assignment at the September meeting. And this is highlighted on page 6, Rule 8. Item 3, Rule 16, number 1, changed to read the election of chairperson from the membership of the committee immediately following the approval of the committee assignments by the secretary during the first committee meeting in October. Item number 4, now this is one of them that we will probably be addressing here when we get started on this. Rule number 6, item number 3, motion by full court failed to change this rule requesting sponsorship of a resolution. That remained unchanged in committee. Item number 5, request from Commissioner Helton to restructure the Safety Committee and County Corrections Partnership Committee. The Legislative Committee agreed this decision needs to be at the request at his meeting in November. In other words, we'll have to bring that up and probably vote on that. Item number 6, added tourism, as Commissioner Bowden mentioned, to the Economic and Agriculture Committee. This was done. Item number 7, request change how the budget is set or recommended as listed in the Committee of Financial Management, and this passed. And then item number 8, here's another one that we'll probably be discussing. Request to remove the Legislative Committee after the adoption of the rules document and combine the responsibilities with Procedures and Rules Committee. And then there was a question of the name of Procedures and Rules Committee being changed to the Nonprofit Budget Review Committee. So there are 3 items there that, and this is not, I'm not saying what you need to do. There's 3 items here that I think if we want to address them item, we can, and we won't get into a situation to where we run out of motions and amendments, and we'll be able to actually complete this tonight. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
I have got a question for Mr. Bratcher. And my question is, I know we had a motion and a second to approve the list in its entirety last month. My question, Mr. Bratcher, is now that the rules have been changed and altered, what do we do with that motion? I just want to make sure we're procedurally correct.
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think that since we had our motion in order, the actual resolution that we were acting upon was a resolution to adopt the rules and regulations, or rules regulating the procedures of the Warren County Legislative Body. And since that didn't get adopted, that resolution became moot by doing that. We need to go back through and adopt the resolution itself, 16-2020, that creates the actual enactment of our rules and regulations. That makes sense?
Okay, so Robert, do we not have to untable this?
Yes, that procedurally we need to untable it, but it's on our agenda for unfinished business. So once we do that, we'll just pick this up as if we were beginning it just like last month.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Bowden.
Yes, this is Carl D. I think that Commissioner Brown, which is our chairperson of the Legislative Committee, has got everything in order to bring this from untabled and everything. With your permission, I think she can continue and get this untabled in the correct order.
Okay. Well, at this
Mr.
time,
Chairman?
yes, Commissioner Ross.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Robert Hennessy has been kicked off and he's trying to reboot. So just be looking for him. He's kicked off and rebooting.
Okay, and Lauren will be watching for him. I'm not at the office to facilitate this, so I'm sure she will be watching for him to come back on. But, while we're waiting on Commissioner Hennessy, would somebody want to make a motion to untable this?
I'll make that motion, Carl E.
All right, we have a motion from Carl E. Bowden to untable this item here, item B.
Second by Tommy Savage.
We have a second from Commissioner Tommy Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, with that, I yield the floor to who wants to speak on this.
Mr. Chairman, I want to begin.
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
Okay. As you just did, you reviewed all of the items that we discussed in our meeting, which were the list of items that came from the 2 commissioners and yourself. So what we really need to do is open the floor to discussion on these items, because it would, if you notice also in rule number 10, which is the procedure to change a rule after they are adopted. If there is a way that we can tonight at least adopt these rules, and then we can come back later individually and change them without, at least we would come back with a product tonight. But if there is any particular rule that anyone wants to address now, let's just open it up for discussion and see if we can get it resolved where we, like, as you said, we don't have a lot of motions. And the first one that you mentioned that that you were concerned about was item number 5, which was the safety committee. And as Mr. Commissioner Spots talked about that one, that committee is still, well, the committee voted to sunset that committee at this time, but he wants to have continued discussion with our sheriff. So we need what is your recommendation, Mr. Stotts, on what we need to do with that one?
Commissioner Brown, thank you. I mean, at this time, like I said, our motion was to kind of go dormant on the committee pending any alternate arrangement that we end up with the sheriff. So at this time, I would say that I would like to continue that work and go back.
Commissioner Wilcher, or Chairman Wilcher, this is Commissioner Helton. May I speak?
Mr. Helton.
Okay. Obviously, I'm the commissioner that's sort of been driving this. And where we're at this point, I guess, is a crossroads, or as we called it, a line in the sand. And where we became this controversy is Students Legislative Committee, whenever we had to identify what our responsibilities were. And we had a duplication, and we still have a duplication, if I'm not mistaken, where it was believed that the safety committee was responsible for the jail, and then also county corrections felt that they were responsible for the jail. And so that's where I felt like we need to get that cleared up. Obviously, every other committee that is responsible for specific things, i.e., the education, they review the education budget. Ambulance, safety reviews the ambulance. Highway and bridge, they review highway and bridge. And so I felt that county corrections was over the jail. It was the jail committee, and it should be over the budget responsibilities as well, just as all those other committees I discussed were. So that's what I believe on this item number 5. Whether the committee is quote unquote sunsetted or not, I feel like we need to clear up within the legislative document who is responsible for the jail. And I think that's our decision. That's not the sheriff's decision. That's this committee or this commission's decision, whether it's under county corrections or underneath safety. Now, I also, and I don't want to add any confusion, ultimately, I believe county corrections is the committee it needs to fall under. I feel like that we've done a lot in county corrections. I feel like it is a committee that it is needed. The jail is the number one liability of the county, and I feel like a committee needs to be over that. And I want to see that work continue. However, if it's going to be this, double standard thing, then ultimately what I put in the stuff that I sent over to the legislative was to put those responsibilities up underneath safety. Good. So we either need to do one of the other. I personally prefer to keep county corrections and put the budgetary responsibilities underneath county corrections.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Prater.
Yes, Commissioner Prater.
Okay. This is an ongoing thing with the safety committee and the correction committee, whatever used to be called jail oversight committee. I don't know what happened. I've been to meetings and I've heard Mr. Bass brag about the committee. They've done a good job. Back in the day, if you recall, a couple of years ago, we needed this committee. we were in dire need of it. The jail was pitiful. It was pitiful. Nothing worked out there. This committee worked hard with the administrator, the sheriff. Everything went well, and then once everything gets in place and intact, they decide we don't need this committee anymore. And you know, I've sat on the jail when I was on the jail committee, jail oversight committee. We went out there about once a month. We toured that jail. We started when we started building onto the jail and remodeling the old part of the jail and adding the new part. We started going out there. We would walk behind the mezzanine. Safety committee, as far as I know, we've never toured the jail. You know, I don't know where we need to be touring the jail or what, but I know at one time we needed this committee and they come through for us and everything turned out okay. And now all of a sudden we don't need the committee. So I've said my piece.
Thank you. Is there a motion either way?
This is Commissioner Helton again. I'd like to ask a question toward Commissioner Brown, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Commissioner Brown, I did not get a complete and total, or at least I didn't find it, revision of all of the legislative committee. I just got the small amendments. Did y'all do anything to the original safety or the committee responsibilities on corrections or safety?
No, we did not. We voted to leave this up to the full commission to address your two comments, either to add to the corrections or to remove the corrections, and we have just the safety committee.
Okay. Chairman Wiltshire.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
At this point, can I make a motion? I don't want to mess up like we did last month. Can I make a motion to strike the jail from safety and add it under county corrections? And is that going to mess up our main motion like it did last month?
Or if you are tying that to item number 4, no, it would not.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Or I'm sorry,
Mr. Chairman, Ron Lee.
Yes, Commissioner Lee.
Can you hear me? Yes, I find it very ironic. We're talking about wanting to transfer budgetary powers to a committee that just voted itself to go dormant. Now, something's not adding up here. It's been a responsibility over years to assist the sheriff's department in the jail and the running of the sheriff's department, and I don't see no use of changing now, especially to a committee that voted itself dormant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. And I would like to ask a question as District 4 Commissioner, Benz, it was brought up, and I was curious about this myself. How many times a year does the safety committee go out to the jail and tour the jail?
I haven't been at all.
We haven't been in the last year or so. I've been personally, but not as a committee.
Thank you.
Chairman Wiltshire, Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
I would like to move that we strike jail from the safety committee and add it to county corrections.
All right, we have a motion.
Mr. Wiltshire, may I speak to that? This is Robert Hennessy.
Yes, Commissioner Hennessy.
You need a second on that motion.
You need a second, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
Yes.
We got a second.
All right, who seconded that?
Commissioner Sparkman.
All right, Commissioner Sparkman seconded the motion to strike jail from the safety committee. And next is Commissioner Hennessy. You have a comment?
Yes, sir. I'd like to say I think we're getting the cart before the horse here, simply because Commissioner Stotts said that he would need to talk to the sheriff. The sheriff is over the jail and a correction facility. We know what the sheriff's position is on this in this particular committee. It's not taking anything away from the good work that the committee has done. But now we're looking to take something that's been long-standing in the safety committee and add it to another committee without getting any input from the sheriff. I think that's just a critical point before we move forward with this. I'd like to see us move forward with this package and approve a good portion of it, but there's too many things that have been unanswered that we've discovered this evening, and I think that there needs to be clarification on this before we move forward. That's
Well,
all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hennessy. And I will say that the motion has been made, the second has been made. So we will be voting on this, and I see everybody's sides, but that we can motion and second and vote on anything we want to. And this has had a motion and a second. So is there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like legal to weigh in. It was a few meetings ago that this very body voted for the jail or the county corrections partnership not to be a standing committee. And it's my understanding, excuse me, it's my understanding, and I would like legal to either clarify or deny that the budgetary things like that have to be under a standing committee.
All right, let me recognize you, Commissioner Ross. Robert, can you answer Commissioner Ross's question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There's no requirement that it has to be under one committee or another. Both of these committees are advisory committees, standing or otherwise. So, ultimately, budgetary processes are going to go to other committees down the road, budget and finance and financial management. Because of that, and these being advisory committees, there's no law that says it has to be one committee.
Thank you, Mr. Bratcher. Anyone else want to speak to this motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Chairman
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes, is this Commissioner Savage?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Helton was wanting to say put the jail budget under that that committee. Actually, the jail and the sheriff's department are actually two different budgets. They're under the same thing, but they're actually two different. Was he wanting to do the jail for the committee, the jail oversight committee, what it used to be called, and the sheriff's department be under safety committee? I just had a question about that.
Chairman Wilson, may I answer?
Yes, Commissioner Helton, would you answer that?
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question, Commissioner Savage. There is two very distinct differences between the jail and then the sheriff's department. And amazingly, over the last few years, I have gotten to understand the difference. The sheriff's department, they go out, catch the bad guys, and send them to jail. The jail, we try to rehabilitate them, give them their punishment or whatever you want to call it, and then get them back out as productive members of society. There is a catch and release type thing. There's two distinct differences between the sheriff's department and the jail. Ultimately, the county corrections typically works more with the jail administrator than they do with the sheriff side of things. Now, granted, the sheriff himself, Tommy Myers, is over all of it, but we typically in county corrections have always worked with the jail administrator more so than, say, the road department or the investigators. Safety needs to continue to do that work. They definitely need that side of things. But I feel like the jail needs to fall under county corrections, just as drug court and other things do in the rehabilitation of these inmates. I think a primary focus, just like with drug court, we need to rehabilitate these inmates, and that's a distinct difference for us.
All right, Commissioner Helton, are you saying that the sheriff budget stay under safety and the jail budget be under the county corrections partnership? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
I believe that's Executive Haley.
Yes, Jason Walker is now logged on. So I think Jason wanted to make a statement or to answer some questions.
Yes, Mr. Walker, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, I've been dealing with some family issues. Also, that's why the sheriff wasn't on. He's actually driving right now. His father's had some health issues here. So I've kind of with anybody with gist. I've been listening to it on YouTube before, but I mean the sheriff.
Jason, you're cutting in and out.
Yes, Major Walker, you've got a really bad cell.
Mr. Chairman, if the people who are not on mute could go on mute, because I'm hearing them more than I'm hearing Mr. Walker.
Yeah, just about everybody is muted with the exception of a few that are on landlines, I believe.
Of the lot. Of the lot.
Major
You want
Walker,
another
would you want to try again?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I've just been listening to a little bit of YouTube. I've not been the whole conversation. I do know the sheriff wishes that would stay under one. That way the sheriff go into two different committees. But I will answer the question.
I've got it, baby.
All right. At this time, I
I can
think
see it right here.
wait till Major Walker has a better sale, but do we have any more discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman, I motion discussion ceased and we vote.
We have a motion from Commissioner Stotts that the discussion ceases.
I'll second that motion, Commissioner Helton.
There's a second from Commissioner Helton. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have a motion that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Helton, we have a motion that the jail, as far as the building itself, budget stays or falls under the County Correction Partnership, and the budget, as far as the Sheriff's Department, stays under the Safety Committee. Am I correct on that?
That is correct, Chairman.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, and now we're going to vote, and I think we'll have to do a roll call vote on this. Regardless. So, Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Michael Bell,
No.
Carl D. Bolden,
No.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
No.
Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
No.
Deborah Evans,
No.
Lynn,
No.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert,
No.
No.
Gary Martin,
No.
Daniel Owen,
No.
Kate Owens,
No.
Gary Prater, Gary Rob,
No.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Gary Prater.
Yes.
Does anyone want to change their vote? All right, total is 11 yes, 12 no.
All right, thank you. Motion fails. That was item number 5.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Brown.
sorry. Sorry, I was still unmuted.
That's okay.
If we could we go ahead now and just address the rule changes, which was your items 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they were sent out highlighted, and that was in rule number 8, and rules on page 6, rule 16, on page 9 and 10, and then we also had the change on to rule number 10, which was on page 7. So if we can have any discussion on or any questions about any of those.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
Mr. Chairman, addressing Rule 8, this was my wish for the rule originally. I know that's not how it came out of committee, but my original intention was that as follows. The chairperson has the opportunity to present a committee assignment list at each September meeting. If it passes by simple majority, it will stand. However, if it does not receive a simple majority of votes, the chairman will present another list at the following month's meeting and each subsequent meeting until it receives a simple majority vote. I think the first half of that was intact to my intention, and I know that the legislative committee does not act on my opinion only, but my motion is to amend that to state what the previous, and I can restate that if you wish.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Rule 8, my motion is to present this with this wording. The chairperson has the opportunity to present a committee assignment list at each September meeting. If it passes by simple majority, it will stand. However, if it does not receive a simple majority of votes, the chairman will present another list at the following month's meeting and each subsequent meeting until it receives a simple majority vote.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rubley.
Second by Robert Hennessy.
We have a second from Commissioner Hennessy. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Daniel
Mr.
Owens.
Owens.
We spoke on this several times, even before we made any amendments or Mr. Rubley's suggestion. However, we cannot continue to press our government forward if we have that rule and that wording. Every 4 years we have an election year, and if we do not set committees that first September, then we will not have any structure until we do all approve a committee. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Savage.
I'd also like to put in there that each one of the committees that are already formed until they are changed and voted on and approved, they shall remain intact.
And I believe that is the case now. Is that not the case, Mr. Bratcher?
Yes, that's automatic. Whoever is in prior committee assignments will remain there until they're replaced by a new vote. So if it doesn't pass immediately, there's no need to have the old commissioners reassigned.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Chairman Wilcher, Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
Mr. Rubley, I understand where you're coming from here, but I'm going to have to agree that I think we as a commission in the last 2-3 years, we've been able to take nominations from the floor, and yes, it may be a little timely to do so, but I feel like we get a bipartisan committee when we do that. I know we accepted a full list this last year, I think, but the year before that, we did take nominations from the floor. And I felt that it went very smoothly, and we all got to weigh in, no matter whose side you're on, left, right, in between, whatever. And so for that, I just don't think that we can support this. I like the idea of being able to, if there is a small group that isn't represented, maybe they could get some representation with the nomination here.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner
Brown. I wanted just to add to that Mr. Rubley's suggestion to go ahead and present the entire list. It was was accommodated in our change here. But we really felt that this was an important time. If it did not pass on the floor when it was proposed, there must be a reason. And here we are in this meeting, all of us together. It's an opportune time to go ahead and find out what changes that are being made or being requested. It's an open conversation to nominate somebody else, and then the chairman would know what it is that his commission is wanting. If you walk away from it, you just put that off. When you're all right there together, it really isn't going to take that much time to go ahead and change the particular committees that are being addressed by a no vote to his initial list. So that is why we put it that way, because put the initial list out. If it passes, they move on. If it doesn't pass, let's find out why and get the nominations that the people on the commission feel are important enough to have voted it down and presented at that time.
And that is how you have it stated here in front of us right now. And as 4th District Commissioner, I can say that I agree with that.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
Just to clarify, the only reason that I was that this was my intent for this rule to be written this way is the fact that it's just so difficult once we're taking nominations from the floor and appointing people to committees that we don't get some heavy-sided appointments. For instance, one particular commissioner could be on 5, 6, 7 committees, and I don't think I could ask Bratcher this question, but I don't think that there is any way that legally we can restrict the number of committees that someone serve on. But then on the other hand, we may have somebody that ends up without a committee, and my only concern was that it's going to be really confusing during a meeting to prevent people from being on 5, 6, 7 committees. And I know with my 2 committee appointments, my hands are full all the time, and I just don't feel like the people of the county would be getting due service if you were on 5 or 6 committees. That was my only concern, is that we just don't get somebody with a really heavy set of committee appointments, and then maybe somebody without a committee appointment at all. I don't know how really to rectify that problem. But that was my intent with this, and that was all. But thank you.
All right. I believe we had a motion, and I believe we had a second on that. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are.
Yes. All right.
Chairman,
Anyone else want to speak to the motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, this is Christy Ross.
Yes, Commissioner Ross.
I think I need clarity on what Daniel said, Ms. Commissioner Owens, that in 4 years, if we have a turnover like we had our past election, then there wouldn't be anybody to set on those committees. If the chairman's committees didn't pass. So I'm just trying to clarify. Did Daniel's point did somebody clear that up, how that would work, or did I just not understand it?
Well, and I don't want to speak for Robert on this, but I believe we typically will present a list in September, and those people will not actually take office until after the October meeting. Robert, is that what you were talking about keeping the old committees if that was the case?
Yeah, so what I was simply saying is that if a committee assignment fails to vote, the prior committee membership maintains that role. Now, that's typically not a problem until you get into an election year when you've got the whole body being replaced. You could end up in a situation where you've got several committees that have 2 or 3 vacant spots now. If that happens and the new assignments do not pass, then you just got the vacant seats from where the old commissioner who did not gain re-election or did not run again is gone. And the ones from the prior committee or the prior commission that are still seated there. So you'll have some that'll have a lot of vacant seats. Some may be completely empty.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that is a worst case scenario. I mean, it could happen though. That is a good point.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
Just clarification here. If we vote down Commissioner Rubley's recommendation here, it reverts back to what the legislative committee has proposed, or will we need to vote that in as well?
We will have to vote on that if this fails.
Okay.
Any other discussion before we vote? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
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 All right, Lisa, will you call the roll, please?
Michael Bell, Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
No.
Carl E. Bolden,
No.
Carly Brown,
No.
David Dunlap,
No.
Randy,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
No.
Steve Glenn,
Oh.
Stephen Helton,
No.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
No.
Gary Martin,
No.
Daniel Owen,
No.
Casey Owens,
No.
Gary Prater,
No.
Christy Ross,
No.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change your vote? All right, it's 10 yes, 13 no.
All right, motion fails.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that Rule 8 be approved as has been revised and presented to us via email.
And I'll
Carl
second
D.
that.
second.
Commissioner Rubley made a motion. I seconded that. Anybody want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you. Commissioner Brown, is there another particular item you want to go to next?
Yes, let's go to Rule 16 that added the redistricting committee. That was on page 8 and page 10.
Yes.
That was just an addition. That wasn't anything really any different.
I make a motion that we accept the addition of the redistricting committee to the list of committees. Carl D.
second it. We have a motion from Commissioner Carl D. Bolden and I, Commissioner Blaine Wiltshire, second that motion. Does anybody want to speak to that motion? If not,
This is Gary Prater.
yes, go ahead.
I got something to say. Okay, basically, the redistricting committee works with the election commission office. I mean, they're the ones that pretty much, they're what we're working for, you know. They're the ones when they say that we need to look at redistricting some of these areas, you know. That's when we just set into what they do. We really don't have a whole lot of say-so about that. But it's been on there as long as I can remember. But we pretty much just follow up what they say. So I don't know where that would be a standing committee or not. I got dropped off a while ago and I'm just now getting back on. I really don't know what we're voting on.
We're voting. Commissioner Bowden, would you restate your motion?
I made the motion that we added the redistricting committee to the list of committees that we have on the county commission.
A standing committee.
What?
Yes, it
Yeah,
meets
I think
it on the next page.
All right. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Before I forget it, I know you may have at least one more, Commissioner Brown. I would like to bring up item number 4 again. And as
Chairman Wiltshire, I've got something on 16, Commissioner Helton.
Okay, well, I'll recognize you when I get finished here, since I've started on this one. Item number 4, which I brought up in an email today. If you notice the resolution that was sent out for legislative committee, it mentioned all of the members of that committee. And that is very important information. It's critical information to another commissioner to know who is responsible for working on that resolution. And that is the reason that I would like to talk a little bit again about having at least one, if not more, sponsors of resolutions, as we've done in the past in other administrations. That way, if someone is working on some type of resolution, another commissioner knows who to contact in order to get the information that pertains to that resolution. And this was brought up today when I seen the email. And that was my intent when I made that motion that did fail last month.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Rubley. I'd like to speak to that.
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
I'd just like to add to this, which to me, it doesn't matter if my name is ever on the resolution, but what I think to clarify what you're saying is that even for historical references later on, to know who brought something up, whether it be good or bad, and it can have negative connotations too. So the only thing that we're doing here would just be simply labeling and putting a signature on somebody who presented a resolution. It's not, it's not an accomplishment of anybody but the full body of the commission. All this is doing is giving us some record of who sponsored it or where it originated. But that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yes, and I did, as I spoke about earlier, I did talk to Charles Curtis about this, and his statement was something to the effect of, why would you not want to have a sponsor on a resolution so that you could actually contact them for information? And that's my main point of this. And I would like to put that in, I would like to make a motion again that we allow at least one sponsor to a resolution.
I would second that.
All right, we have a motion from myself. We have a second from Commissioner Tommy Savage. Anybody else want to speak to this motion?
Mr. Chairman, Robert Hennessy, if I could, please.
Yes, Commissioner Hennessy.
It was my understanding if there's a resolution that's brought to the attention of the legal counsel that there has to be signatures on that, at least 2 signatures for sponsors in order for that to be a solvent document. Is that correct?
Yes, you're correct, but we're talking about 2 different things. That will happen after it is passed. But in the past, a resolution has had a commissioner's name on it where they are actually writing the resolution and they're actually working on it. And there's been several examples through the year. I can tell you one was when we added adoption to the name of animal control. And that was basically at that time was so people knew who to call to find out why we were trying to do that.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Wiltshire, Chairman Wiltshire, this
Yes.
is Commissioner Helton.
Commissioner Helton.
So I guess how would it appear on the document? I mean, the document that we got for this rules and regulations, it actually, I think 3rd, 4th line item down, it actually says, whereas the Warren County legislation body goes on to say Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Stotts, and so on. Is that basically what you're talking about, or are you talking about, having a signature down here by Executive Haley, or what are we talking about as far as on the document itself?
Well, it could actually be the way that this document that you're talking about is, and in the past, it would usually be up toward the top. It would say a resolution by Commissioner Stephen D. Helton to commemorate such and such. But there's several ways you could do it. It really wouldn't matter as long as the commissioner or commissioners that are working on that resolution are mentioned in the resolution.
Chairman Wiltshire,
Yes, Commissioner
how
Brown.
about if we just amend your motion and state that that under Rule 6 Resolutions number 3, that we add the sentence, sponsors of the resolution shall be named within the resolution, period.
Are you making that motion?
Yes, I make that motion.
So you're
Robert Hennessy, second.
It's an amendment to your motion, Doug.
Yes, you've made an amendment to my motion. That is a motion there. Is there a second?
Commissioner Helton, seconds.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Helton. Is there any discussion on the amendment? If not, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So the amendment to the motion passes. Mr. Bratcher, do we need to vote back on the original motion since the amendment passed?
Yes, you do, and you need to probably restate it so that the body can understand it completely.
All right, the motion amended is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Brown, Commissioner Brown, is that the commissioners or commissioner that is sponsoring the resolution will be named somewhere in the resolution.
Correct.
All right. So we're going to vote on this motion now. Any discussion before we vote? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Now I believe someone else had wanted to speak about another item on this list.
Yeah. Commissioner Helton speaking.
All right, Commissioner Helton.
On Rule 16 of the committees there, I just wanted a clarification, means this has been a gray area for us for a long time here. At the bottom of this, it says the following committees are standing committees, and it goes on and it lists all of the committees, and it includes County Corrections Partnership. Is that meant to be? Is that what the body wants? Because that's not really what I've been hearing here recently. I just want to go ahead and clear that up as well, because the way I read that, County Corrections becomes a standing committee. The legislative becomes a standing committee. Redistricting is a standing committee. They're all standing committees at that point. Was that the legislative body's intent?
Yes.
Brown?
I think it was.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes, Commissioner Brown, that is their intent.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Owens.
Yes, Commissioner Owens.
Actually, redistricting is supposed to be a standing or a special committee.
Well, we've already voted now to make it a standing committee.
I thought we voted to approve what was in the amendment.
That's what we voted on, was approve what was in the amendment.
So it's a special committee.
We'll have to go back and look at the minutes, but I thought it was pretty certain that it was voted to be a standing committee. I believe that was Carl D. Bolden that made that motion.
Chairman Wiltshire, this is Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
The way that I'm reading it on the document that I've got, I mean, literally it says the following committees are standing committees for Warren County Legislative Body. They are appointed and confirmed annually by the Warren County Legislative Body. Budget and Finance, Building and Grounds, Economic and Agricultural Development, Education, Financial Management, Health and Welfare, Highway Bridge, County Corrections Partnership, Legislative, Policy and Personnel, Safety and Beer Board, Redistricting Committee, Procedures and Rules. And then it goes on to say special committees are formed by the full court when issues arises which need more information or further study done for information. So the way that reads, Redistricting Committee, along with county corrections and the beer board and so on, are all standing committees.
It should have start.
And that's what I got emailed out from Lauren.
All right, Commissioner Owens.
In that paragraph, it should have stars beside county corrections, beer board, and redistricting. Because underneath where Mr. Helton stopped, it says note the star, and then it goes on to explain these three committees and why they're labeled as special committees.
Right, and I see what you're saying, Commissioner Owens, but I still think I still think the motion that was made and seconded and voted on and passed just changed that for the redistricting committee.
The motion that was made was that the redistricting committee be put on there as written on this document.
So it would be a special committee.
That's right.
Okay, then I misunderstood, and I think the person that seconded you misunderstood too. But if that was your intent, then we will go with that.
It really doesn't matter. It's an annual. It's a committee that's there all the time, but it's a special committee because it's a required committee. I'm assuming that's why it's special. The county corrections was not ever intended to be a temporary. It was intended to be something that was there forever. And we've fussed and fussed and fussed over nothing forever because the county corrections never had any budgetary approval or anything. And it doesn't matter anyway because budget and finance handles that. We're just assisting in the budgets. That's all. I finally blew up over that.
All right. All right. What is the next item on this?
The next item, we've addressed everything that I think that we need to address unless someone else has something they want to bring up.
I believe item number
Under rules, only on the rules section.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Glenn, something I need to bring up.
Yes, Commissioner Glenn.
I would like to see that any two commissioners from the same district not be on the same committee in the future.
Okay.
That will never happen.
Huh?
That ain't gonna happen.
Mr. Chairman, can we get some some individuals to recognize Commissioner Owens here?
Yes, I'm trying to, but we've got a lot of people speaking without being recognized. Go ahead, Commissioner Owens.
Mr. Chairman Wiltshire, I was just trying to get the individuals to recognize themselves. That's all.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
This Commissioner Prater.
All right, Commissioner Prater, go ahead.
I don't think that could ever happen. Two commissioners in the same district not being able to serve on a same committee. I mean, we need to go do the math.
Right. I think that might be problematic. I don't know. I feel like if there's two commissioners in the same district and they both want to be on the same committee and they're able to be, I don't know that it would be fair to not allow that to happen. But I don't know that that's happened or hasn't.
I don't see a problem with it.
Right.
Why would it be a problem? We're all working for the same thing.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Carl D.
Yes, Commissioner Bowden.
Me and Commissioner Owens are in the same district and we're both on the legislative, and so far it hasn't been a problem.
Thank you. I'm trying not to have an opinion since I'm the chairman right now. So,
Mr. Commissioner Prater again.
Yes, Commissioner.
I don't see why anybody would have a problem with that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Evans.
Commissioner Evans, I just want to say that Commissioner Stout and I represent the same district. We're both on Education Committee, and it has never been a conflict or a problem in any way.
Thank you. And I served with Commissioner Dunlap on Health and Welfare, and it hasn't been an issue at this point for us, I can say.
Mr. Chairman, this is England.
Yes, Commissioner England.
Myself and Commissioner Rubley serve on the Budget and Finance. As far as I know, we get along just fine and we don't have no issues at all.
Chairman Wiltshire?
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
Commissioner Brown. I think that there is one more that we need to address that will also help in this. That was the change on rule number 10.
Okay.
So that's our last rule that we need to address. And we changed that one so that we could make it very understandable of how you would modify these rules once they were passed. And so stating that a rule could be temporarily suspended by 2/3 majority vote of the membership. And once the revisions are made, they would come back with a simple majority vote of the membership. So that if Mr. Glenn, who I think is the one who has brought this discussion up, actually wanted to modify these if we get them adopted, then he can come back with his recommendation and a resolution to make that change. All of these rules could be changed at any time following the procedures of number 10. So I would like to make a motion that we adopt the revision of rule number 10 as emailed.
Second, Commissioner Stotts.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Stotts, a motion by Commissioner Brown. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Can you please clarify the motion?
Yes, please, Commissioner Brown.
The motion is to adopt the revised rule number 10 that was emailed to you, and it's as we presented it.
Is there any other discussion?
Can you, this is Commissioner Helton, can you please read that revision? I do not have it in front of me.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's rule number 10, modification and suspension of rules. Any rule or rules may be temporarily suspended by a 2/3 majority vote of the membership. Permanent revisions to a rule or rules may be enacted only by written resolution and shall become effective by a vote of a simple majority of the membership. To further review rules and regulations of the county court, the legislative committee will assemble the second Monday of October to discuss any rules or revisions.
So your motion is to accept rule number 10 as submitted in the email.
Correct, as I just read that too.
Yes. I believe we have a second on that.
Commissioner Helton will second if you do not
Yes,
have.
Commissioner Helton, second. Anyone else want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I believe I've noticed there's an item number 8, Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Is that one that you wanted to address or anyone wanted to address?
I'll just address it. And well, it was in the discussion of the legislative committee as we were adopting the names and the job descriptions that we attached for all the committees. And it was recommended that by our committee that we would change the name of the Procedures and Rules Committee to Nonprofit Budget Review Committee. That would be the title because we felt that it would better describe exactly what that committee does.
Okay.
Chairman Wilcher, this is Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
This originated from one of my ideas, and basically where I come from on this, the legislative committee I felt was put in as a temporary committee in order to do exactly what they've done, and they've done a phenomenal job. That's put together a legislative packet for us that we can pass. It was my thought that we have a committee named Procedure and Rules. That Procedure and Rules Committee is comprised of every chairman of every committee that is represented within our commission. And what better place to take a change in the rules than to every chairman of every committee? So I felt that it would be wise to take the procedure and rules that we are adopting tonight and put it in procedure and rules control. So basically what I had proposed is basically striking the legislative committee name off the top of their committee responsibilities and putting procedure and rules on the top of that document. And then obviously the procedure and rules has the one job of reviewing nonprofit requests. And so we would tack in that particular line item. So that's where all of this comes from. And I would like to, I guess, put that in the form of a motion as well. So my motion is to, well, let me back up.
Point of order.
You've
I
already
believe
submitted.
Carleen has a motion on the floor.
I don't believe Carleen made a motion. Or did you make a motion, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
You did make a motion.
Yes, you did.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
All right. We have a motion from Commissioner Brown. We have a second from Commissioner Bolden. And as part of the discussion, Commissioner Helton has spoke. Now, where do you want to go from here?
Can Miss Carleen clarify her motion, please?
My motion is to change the name of the Procedure and Rules Committee to the Nonprofit Budget Review Committee, and to leave the Legislative Committee intact. Since that's my motion.
Okay. And that is the motion that you seconded, Commissioner Bolden.
It is.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak to that motion? All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Ross.
I would like for Lauren to know that Miss Evans has been kicked off and she is trying to get back on.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't do it on purpose. All right, there's a motion, a second, and I know Commissioner Helton, you had a discussion on it. Is there any other discussion?
Chairman Walter, this is Mr. Dunlap.
Yes, Commissioner Dunlap.
Will you restate the motion that Ms. Brown stated, so I don't know which way to vote?
All right, I will do my best, Commissioner Brown. That is to rename the Procedures and Rules Committee to the Nonprofit Budget Review Committee and basically keep the Legislative Committee standing. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is the motion and the second. All right, if there's no other discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
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 All right, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Help,
No.
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
No.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
No.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Roop,
No.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Sparkman,
No.
Joseph Stott,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wilson.
Yes.
No.
Anyone?
I got an idea. Why don't we change the county commission to county alderman?
Lisa, have you got the vote?
Now we're changing the committee names. Bye,
Yes.
y'all.
Go ahead, Lisa.
17 yes, 6 no.
All right, motion passes 17 yes, 6 no. All right. Is there any other items on the list that we need to cover before we vote on the resolution as a whole?
I think we've covered everything that we
All right.
had on our items that we needed to address. So now it would be to pass the resolution and to, with all the amendments that we have made to the original packet.
Excuse me,
All
Chairman
right.
Wiltshire.
We've
Yes.
got a lot of people speaking right now while someone's got the floor, and Commissioner Brown's got the floor. Go ahead, Commissioner Brown.
I was saying that I believe we have covered everything that was asked of us to review, and we've made amendments tonight, motions to make the changes and have our approvals. So our resolution now is up to asking for anyone to make a motion to approve resolution number 16/2020 to adopt the rules and regulations of the Warren County Legislative Body as amended.
And you put that in the form of a motion.
Yes, that's a motion.
I will second it. Does anybody want to speak to that motion?
I think we forgot to add the addition of tourism to mission statement on economic and agriculture.
We voted on that earlier and it did pass.
My apologies.
That's fine. It's been a long meeting. We have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion,
Chairman Wiltshire,
yes, Commissioner Helton.
my question, I guess, is, are we going to, so once we review all or approve all this tonight, it's finalized. Are we going to see a final copy before it's written in law, or is it to, even with all the revisions and all of this confusion that we've had tonight, we're not, this is the final reading of it. There's not going to be another reading. Is that correct?
Well, it is the final reading until everything has changed according to the way that we voted. And as Commissioner Brown spoke of earlier, we have the authority to change any of these rules at any time that we want to by commission. So I would basically be looking for the legislative committee to make the corrections that we voted through tonight and then present that back to us as finalized and voted on probably by next month. Is that correct, Commissioner Brown?
That is correct. And if you also remember, as we discussed earlier, and it's also included in here, that this document will be managed by Lisa Scott's office. And if we make vote any rules and make any changes or amendments, they will be changed to that office and redistributed back to the full commission. But by the next meeting, everyone will have a printed copy of this document.
Thank you.
If it passes.
Thank you. All right, with that, if there's no other discussion, all in favor of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I believe that passes unanimously. Believe it or not, we're going into new business.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the committee that worked on this and all the input. I believe we've got a good document to work with and to move forward with. And I'm sure there'll be changes in the future, but at least we should be able to be proud to say that we have this document now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, first
Mr.
item.
Chairman,
Yes,
Commissioner Taylor here.
Commissioner Taylor.
I hate to bother you, sir, but could you please go over again how to tell people to silence or mute themselves on landlines and stuff again, please?
Lauren, you'll have to help me. It's star something, I think 6, but I'm not sure.
Yes, to mute and to unmute, press *6.
Thank you, Miss Lauren. There's a few people that are on landlines. I'm hearing their wives talk to them and everything else.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your phone will actually tell you whether or not you're muted or unmuted when you press *6.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. And that general reminder, please mute when you're not speaking if possible. Back on to new business. The first item is resolution number 19-2020, a resolution accepting the Warren County, Tennessee Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Ron Lee here. I move to adopt.
Robert Hennessy, the second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lee, a second from Commissioner Hennessy. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is resolution number 20-2020, a resolution in support of the drug dealer liability lawsuit.
I accept that motion, Robert Hennessy.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Hennessy.
Second.
We have a second, I believe, from Commissioner Ross. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, next motion is IDB appointment.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley, I'd like to nominate Miss Carrie Huckabee.
All right, we have a motion for a nomination for Miss Carrie Huckabee.
Robert Hennessy, second.
All right, we have, the motion is from Commissioner Rubley. The second is from Commissioner Ron Lee. Would anybody like to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bell,
Yes, Commissioner Bell.
I'd like to make a motion, we'll elect by acclamation.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in
Yes, is this
favor-
a,
Go ahead. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Sparkman.
Yes, is this a new opening for IDD Board? Or is this the way it's stated, I think it's 26, ain't it?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, County Executive can direct that.
Yes.
Mike Millard has served in that position. I've talked to him, so is Mr. Alexander. He is taking care of an elderly mother right now and is out of town most of the time, and said he would like it if we could really appoint someone else at this time. And so that's Carrie Huckabee has been recommended to fill that position.
Thank you, Executive Haley. All right, if there's no other discussion, is there any other nominations? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, Lisa, call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yeah.
Stephen Helton, Stephen Helton, Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater, Gary Prater, Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Howard Spartman,
No.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Commissioner Wiltshire, Stephen Hilton just texted me and said he got kicked off.
Okay.
What about Gary Prater?
I believe he kicked himself off.
Okay. Anyone want to change their vote? Winnie, yes, 1 no, and 2 out, I guess.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. Next item is item number 4, Amendment GF FY 2021-11. And this is to accept and appropriate funds for the workforce grant.
Daniel Owens, move to adopt.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Owens.
Second, Commissioner England.
We have a second from Commissioner England. Anyone want to speak to the motion? All right, call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton, Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote?
Commissioner Helton is here.
Stephen Helton,
You have to, I'm not sure what we're voting on. I apologize. I got kicked off.
We're voting on item number 4, the amendment GF FY 2021-11.
Yes.
yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. Next item is item number 5, amendment GF FY 2021-12. This is establish capital improvement line items using the governor's grant money. And it is listed there. Some is to purchase and install TVs necessary for our courtroom and to facilitate hybrid meetings.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Yes, Commissioner.
That was a good summary of this amendment, and basically, I think we'll be purchasing 3 television screens as well as all the hardware to facilitate the hybrid meetings. It passed both the finance committees unanimously, so moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rubley.
Commissioner Owens, second.
Commissioner Owens seconded. Anyone want to speak to the motion? Call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
No.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap, David Dunlap, Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Commissioner Helton, yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Sparks,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 21 yes, 1 no.
All right, motion passes. Next item is item number 6, and that is Highway FY 2021-1, establish revenue line for the sale of equipment and appropriate funds for the purchase of equipment.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve this. England.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner England.
Philip Stout, second.
We have a second from Commissioner Stout. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Yes. Commissioner Rubley.
Just to clarify, this is, what this is revenue from the auctioned equipment from the Highway Department. And we needed a line item to place that. And that line item is going to be 44,530 sale of equipment. And that's basically what we're doing, is just putting that into the Highway Department budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to the motion? Call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 22
All right, motion passes. Next item is item number 7, Amendment GP FY 2021-1 TDEC Volkswagen Bus Grant, $8,484, and Diabetes Grant for construction of the challenge course, $150,000.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley.
Robert Hennessy.
Rubley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This, what this is, we had Volkswagen basically said if the school system would buy a bus as a match grant, they would also buy a bus. We came up a little short on what was the estimated cost of the bus, and that's the 8484, which was a transfer. And then the Diabetes Challenge course is an obstacle course that's going to be assembled at the middle school down towards the lower end zone of the football field. And it's going to be a pretty rigorous challenge course. And this $150,000 is 100% grant money, and it will completely fund the project. And I so move.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rubley.
Second, Commissioner Brown.
We have a second from Commissioner Brown. Anyone want to speak to the motion? Call the roll, please.
Michael,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes. Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spark,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 22 yes.
All right, motion passes. Next item is item number 8. This is amendment GPFY 2021-2, $750 bonus for full-time and $375 bonus for part-time employees.
I make that motion, Commissioner Bell.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bell.
Dunlap.
I have a second from Commissioner Dunlap. Does anybody want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Savage.
Commissioner Savage here. That is the part-time and full-time employees of the school system.
That is correct.
Well, yeah, I want to recognize that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Bolden.
I would like to ask Mr. Swallows if how this bonus will be administered, if it will be in one lump sum separate from their checks, which that's what I suggest a bonus would be most beneficial as, or will it be implemented in their checks weekly to where they really never notice it?
That would, thank you for that question. It would be administered one lump sum in December.
I appreciate that. I think that's a better idea.
All right. Does anyone else want to speak to the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
would you allow Mr. Swallows to make sure that everyone understands where this money is coming from and how he plans to fund it and why he has made this recommendation?
Yes, Grant, if you want to speak on that.
Thank you. I will try to be brief. I know you guys have had a marathon tonight. So just thank you for allowing me to speak on this. This has come from a place to where we are just trying to recognize the extraordinary work of our employees during extraordinary circumstances. We have obviously the first county commission meeting I had to come to was to take raises out of the budget based on the BEP formula last year. And at that time, we had discussions that said, you know, if we can give our employees a bonus, that's what we'd like to do. But we wanted to make sure we knew where we were from the budget last year. Obviously, again, extraordinary times last year in March, April, and May. We were able to identify more savings last year simply because school didn't operate in March, April, and May as normal. For instance, I'll give you one example of that. Our substitute teacher balance, we budgeted or we spent in 18-19 $469,000 in 18-19, and 19-20 only $321,000 because again, that time frame we didn't spend that. So we were able to put more back in our general fund based on last year, but more so and more importantly, we were able to identify offsets from the CARES Act money that we're getting, as we normally budget and spend around $500,000 in computers and technology and purchasing that. Because of our CARES Act money, we're able to offset that of our general balance, our general fund balance, or our budget, and purchase that through CARES Act. So we were able to go in and identify different areas where we could do that because we wanted to make sure, and I know it's tough, and we'd like to give bonuses and raises everywhere we can, and budgets are tight and uncertain, but as a school board and the school system, we were able to identify those offsets to where we could recognize and give this bonus to our employees. And I hope that you'll give that great consideration tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman Ron Lee.
Commissioner Lee.
Hey, I'd like to ask Mr. Swallows, how many people are we talking about? How many employees is this going to affect?
Good question. We have, I believe the last number I had was about 1,315. The total number, the total amount for this budget amendment as we have it right now would be $728,561 that we would be moving from the undesignated fund balance to several line items so that we can pay this bonus out.
Thank you very much, sir.
Chairman Wiltshire, Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
I don't know if this is going to be a Justin Cotton question, or maybe Scott Rubley, you might be able to talk about this. But obviously, I'm going to support the teacher bonuses here. But I know we did not pass any raises for any of our other county employees, and they may take this on the chin a little bit, the fact that we're giving special treatment to the teachers, because, you know, I know we're under extraordinary times, but, you know, the other employees have been doing extraordinary things as well. Is there going to be any other spots where we can look at our other employees for the county bonuses like this, something that we can match like this?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rubley,
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Helton's comment, and this has been one of those things that I've been on the fence on back and forth for ever since that this came up. And the main concern that I've had is just what Commissioner Helton spoke on, is the fact that we didn't give the county employees raise. And I know I've heard the rumors, and I can dispel the rumors, and Director Cotton can as well. The fact of the matter is, we did not have the money to give raises to the county employees this year. The money was not there. We thought we were going, at the end of budget, we thought we were going to have some money available, and we were going to be able to give a small raise. But at the end of the day, once all receipts were received, we were so tight that it was frightening. But also, to answer his question, my main concern is fairness with this. And I realize that school does have the money in their budget. I know there was quite a bit of CARES Act money, almost in the amount of $2 million, plus the savings that Director Swallows has spoken about. And Mr. Swallows can tell you that I've spoken to him at length on this, because it is a concern. I know that everybody's wallet is a concern at the end of the day. They're not doing this just for the fun of it. They're doing it for the money, as well as county employees. And what I have got to consider from budget finance standpoint is the fact that what Commissioner Helton said, we are going to have some employees that are going to say, hey, what about me? And this is the county employees. And it is going to be my purpose and one of my top priorities this year. And I know I'm just one vote in this commission, but to see that the county employees get a match on this in the next fiscal year. As of right now, we've got quite a bit of CARES Act money in, as well as governor's money. And what I would like to see, and what I'm challenging all the commissioners here to do, is when we're looking at capital projects and expenses that's going to be coming out of this CARES Act money and the governor's money, to think long and hard, because the last thing I want to do is next year say, hey, we're sorry, county employees, we don't have the money for a raise. But right now, the money is there. We're looking at all these what we would call emergency purchases and things that have to be done, things that are crucial for the county government and for safety. That's the first thing we're looking at, are safety aspects. But if we manage this money very well, I don't see why we cannot at least match that in next year's budget. And that's going to be my intentions. And as I say, I would challenge this commission to be very responsible voting on expenditures so that we can have some money. We don't know. Everything that we do is based on projection. And as of right now, our projections look good, our revenues look good, but anything can change overnight. If you look at the stock market, that's what's happening now. It's ebbs and flows. So, but the short answer is yes, we intend to do this. I don't think that it's going to be possible this year, but next year, I intend to see that the county employees get at least a $750 raise and or bonus to match this. It's only fair. I think they deserve it. And I felt some tensions from some of the employees, and I feel your pain. I do. But the fact of the matter is, we just didn't have the money this year. But if we manage this carefully, then next year, I don't see any reason why we could. Thank you.
Commissioner Rubley, Commissioner Helton here.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
Well, what kind of dollar figure are we looking at if we do a county match and try to get all of our other county employees beyond just the school system? what kind of dollar figure are we looking at? And this may be a Justin Cotton question. Is this, how big is that dollar figure?
Commissioner Helton, I could answer that at budget time, but right now I'm going to defer to Director Cotton.
Chairman, if you will.
Yes, Commissioner. I'm Director Cotton, sorry.
Yes, Commissioner Helton, we fluctuate a little bit on full-time employees, but I would say we have roughly 350 full-time employees or equivalent if we're going to do something like this. And it would, after benefits and everything, similar to the way this amendment is written, it would take us $315,000 to match that across 3 different funds. General, sanitation, and ambulance.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion before we vote?
Mr. Chairman.
Chairman. Wiltshire.
I'm sorry, who spoke first?
You can let Miss Evans speak if she'd like to.
All right, Commissioner Evans.
Okay, I wanted to hit on some things. I'm on the Education Committee, and I agree with Commissioner Rubley wholeheartedly. I do hope that we can do this for the county employees as well. I want to speak on behalf of the teachers because I am on the Education Committee. I want to remind everyone that teachers, I dare say every single teacher and probably every single para-professional spends a good deal of money out of their own pockets for their classrooms, for their students. And I know this to be the truth. I know it to be factual. I do want to say that in addition to that, the teachers, I think, and paraprofessionals as well, and all of the staff who obtain their health insurance through the school system are going to see an increase beginning in January. So I remember Director Swallow said at our last meeting this past Monday, a week ago, that he feels so bad that he had to take the raises out, which we all do, but he was hoping this could offset that insurance premium increases a little bit too. So I hope all of you commissioners will take those things into consideration about our teachers and our hardworking staff. And in addition to that, our teachers are teaching classes in person, students who have opted for the virtual program, as well as students who get quarantined and then have to attend virtually. And they are performing the work of at least 3 teachers right now by doing that. So I want to let them know we see them and we appreciate them. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else want to speak to the motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Savage.
I think Commissioner Taylor was ahead of me. Let him go ahead.
All right, Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to say that like I spoke of in Budget and Finance to Mr. Swallows, I do believe that our teachers and our janitors, our cafeteria workers are very, very, very well deserving of this bonus. It's been a real struggle for all of them. It's been a struggle for parents, grandparents. It's been a struggle for the whole world. So I do believe that our teachers are very, very deserving of this, and I intended to support it from the start. But I did have some questions, and after those questions got answered, it made me feel even better about it. And sometimes people take you as asking questions that you're not for something, and that's not always true. So I've always said there's no question that's a dumb question. And with that being said, I just want all the teachers to know I've had a lot of good conversations with a lot of good teachers, whether they be on the phone or in person. And this goes out to you teachers or all county employees or anything. If you have a problem or something going on within the county that you have a question about, I encourage you to call your commissioners and let us know how you feel. Because sometimes we don't get phone calls. Sometimes we don't get text messages. Sometimes people don't say anything to you about nothing. So you call us, because that's what we're here to do. That's what you elected us to do, is to listen to your concerns. So teachers, thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate you. I appreciate the janitors. I appreciate the cafeteria workers. Thank you so much. And you're very deserving of this raise.
All right, are we ready to vote?
No,
All right, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, one more question.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is for Director Swallows.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I talked to you, this is Commissioner Savage. I talked to you the other night at Budget and Finance about the computers, and I just wanted to let everyone know that this money is not being spent on these raises. It's not going to keep the computers from coming, that the computers have been ordered. But as you said, everybody in the U.S. has ordered one also.
That's correct. We ordered those in July out of our CARES Act money, and we're still waiting on those. So, that's not uncommon, simply because everybody's ordered and a lot of people are still waiting.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
All right,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman, Commissioner Bell,
Yes, Commissioner Bell.
I just want it to be known that all county employees' insurance went up this year, not just the teachers.
Thank you.
Mr.
I'm sorry, who's speaking? Commissioner Glenn, you've got a bad cell.
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you some information on teachers. They also don't get paid for overtime. And if we're going to give county employees money, let's give them a bonus. Because if you give them a raise, that's there forever. And but I prefer the bonus over the raise for the county employees. And I'm glad the teachers getting this. They well deserve this, and they need it for a long time. Thank you.
All right. Call the roll, please, Lisa.
Mr. Wiltshire, Chairman Wiltshire.
Yes.
Rob Ratcher. I just want to point out one thing before we begin the vote. The county legislative body is a large group with a lot of members, and the school board is a large employer with a lot of employees. I know that there's some overlap, and I just wanted to point out that TCA 5-5-112 does create a statutory conflict of interest for anyone on the commission who is either an employee of the school or has a spouse who's an employee of the school. So please, for everyone to be aware that if anyone fits into that criteria, you'll need to abstain from this particular vote for that reason.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Call the roll, please, Lisa.
Question, Chairman. Mr. Wiltshire.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap.
All right, Commissioner Dunlap.
A question for Mr. Ratcher. I have been hired as a tennis coach. Would I have to not vote on this?
Well, the technical language reads that a conflict of interest is created under this section when a member is voting on a matter which, if approved, would increase the pay or benefits of that member or of that member's spouse. So if you are an employee that would receive this benefit, then you do need to abstain. If you do not receive this bonus, then you will not be a conflicted employee.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Swallows, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, Mr. Dunlap would not receive this bonus just in his coaching duties. So if there's any clarification there, he would not receive this bonus.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Hell,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
This is the raises.
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
I will need to abstain. I have a direct conflict of interest as I am a teacher at the high school.
okay, Chris Ross,
Yes.
Scott Rubin,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes, I will need to abstain as well because my wife is an employee at the high school.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 20 yes, 2 abstain.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item is item number 9, approval of notaries. Ms. Scott.
Notaries: Dara M. Pope, Dale Stubblefield, Tammy Poston Rock, Melody K. Wagner, J. Denise Marsh, Julissa Myers, Sabrina Jennings, Laura Johnson, and Jeff Smith.
Move to adopt. Carl Bolden.
We have a
Carly.
We have a motion from Commissioner Carl E. Bolden.
Second, Commissioner Helton.
We have a second from Commissioner Helton. Anyone want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is special presentation. Executive
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner England. I know
Yes.
we've been going a long time. I'll speak quickly. I want to give everybody an update on our jail training that we've got the grants for. We
Yes.
have we graduated 4 inmates so far. I've got another class going, and if all goes well, we possibly will have 3 more graduating tomorrow. That's running along fine. I had the privilege of taking our new commissioner, Miss Casey Owens, over there and letting her tour the facility. And I hope that we would meet in person. I wanted you guys to meet the instructor. If you had questions, you could talk to him. Maybe when we meet again in person, I'll invite him if that's okay with you, sir. But that's where we are at that. And that's a quick overview.
Thank you, Commissioner England. I don't see under any announcements, but I do want to mention, I want to thank Executive Haley and Lauren and everybody that worked hard to get this meeting set up. We thought at one point we were going to have to cancel due to all the different people within our families that are affected by COVID. But Executive Haley was able to get this set up for us tonight, and I know it's been a long meeting, but we're Is there any other announcements?
I make a motion with
Chairman.
Commissioner England.
Wait a minute, Executive Haley.
Yes, I just had a couple of little quick announcements. The health department will be giving free flu shots through drive-through this Thursday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So Mrs. Fox wanted me to get that out there. Of course, the election is supposed to be certified this week on the 20th. And so we'll be able to swear in Brad Hillis as a new commissioner for our December meeting. Also, once again, COVID testing is going to be extended for 2 days at the health department on Monday, the 23rd from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Monday, the 30th from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. as well. And then Senator Blackburn will be joining me on BLTV tomorrow.
Thank you. And I know we had a motion for adjournment from Commissioner England.
Philip Stout, second.
We have a second from Commissioner Stout. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Everybody have a good evening.